What's up, BraveCo men? Today we're going to talk about weaponizing your story. We're going to take a look at a couple people from history that I really love and have been kind of heroes of mine, because I feel like it's so easy to look at your life and my life and to think that it didn't go quite how I wanted it to. It's not going quite how I want it to. And I don't have a great story, or for a lot of you, you've went through really hard things. You know, maybe you went through a depression. Maybe you were born into a family into poverty. Maybe you were molested as a kid. Maybe your parents didn't want you, or they didn't know how to want you or care for you. And therefore, what typically happens is we look at the trajectory of our life and we think that the trajectory of our life is an equation based upon where we were born and what we have today and what we think that we're capable of. But really that gets us stuck, because we get these fixed mindsets, right? We get this mindset that who I am today is who I'll ever be. My intelligence, my emotional health, my spiritual health, the relationships that I have, what I can accomplish, that somehow it's limited to what I was given in my past, or what I can or can't have or haven't already accomplished. And the truth is that if you believe that's true, that's totally true. You will limit yourself to this fixed mindset. And by the way, this is totally scientific. Look up fixed mindsets and growth mindsets. If you have a growth mindset, see, a growth mindset says the way that I am now is not fixed. The way that I am now is that I'm in flux, that I am in motion. So my IQ is not fixed. My EQ is not fixed. My spiritual intelligence is not fixed, that I can grow, I can expand, I can learn, I can change. And if you believe that that's true, I mean, go look at the science of it. You will actually accomplish what you think that you are capable of accomplishing. And I get this question a lot. People look at my life and they go, man, how did you work through all the stuff and come out on the other side? And I'll give you an example. You know, when I was 10, I got addicted to masturbation. At 11 or 12, I was having oral sex with a guy friend of mine. Didn't actually know that it was wrong. Felt wrong about it, but didn't know that it was wrong. All my sexual experiences up until I was 16 years old were with boys, with masturbating together, the oral sex, the watching porn, looking at magazines, all of my sexual experiences, and became addicted to pornography. At 18, I got married really young. At 19, I had my first child. 24, had 3 kids at 24, went through a divorce at 27, went through a nervous breakdown at 29. I got remarried at 30, had a miscarriage. Actually had a miscarriage. My wife did at 19, had a miscarriage also at the age of 35, was addicted or medically dependent on clonazepam and Lexapro. And, the funny thing about when I tell my story and my life, I don't actually look at my life and go, wow, I'm like one of a kind. The truth is that if I polled all of you guys and said, what have you been through? Tell me your story. It's almost the same. It's adversity, 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 small breakthroughs, adversity, small breakthroughs, adversity, or you just got your butt kicked, but it's not like my story is somehow special. It's the story of so many different people, men and women and children, is just tons of pain. And so, but people look at my story and they go, how did you, like, not just how did you overcome, but, which I've shared that a lot, but also how do you feel so powerful now? And the truth is that I have used all of my breakdowns, all of my mistakes as breakthroughs for people. And I know that sounds so cliche. You're probably driving in your car right now going like, oh, I hate Christianese. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to do that. That is the honest to God truth, is I figured out how to weaponize my story. See, my dad, when I was young, he told me, whatever you get a breakthrough in, whatever you overcome and get breakthrough in, you have authority over, and you can give that away. And he taught me that, for instance, if I'm struggling with anxiety and I learn how to conquer anxiety in my life, that I can now give that away to somebody else. Or if I have a hard time in school, feeling whatever, dumb or made fun of, or that when I come to a point when I no longer feel afraid, that I can share that with a friend. And so you can imagine being 13, 14, 15 years old and realizing anything that I have overcome, I can give away. That's literally the culture that I was born in. It was awesome. So as much as I was struggling, or not even struggling, because, a lot of my life, I didn't feel like it was a struggle. I actually felt like most of my life was awesome. I was also helping other people. So I was a leader at youth group, and I would pray for kids all the time. I would do a lot of counseling just on my own. I didn't know it was counseling. I would help my friends, because my dad would constantly tell me, you're special. You're not like everyone else. You have something to give away, and go out there and find people who need what you have and give it away. So when I was at youth group, I would talk about something that was hard in my life to a kid who was having a hard time. And I would watch that make a difference in his life. And, and I just did that so many times growing up that I started to realize, man, by the time I was 20, 21, 22, leading fire crews, as I was a wildland firefighter in the wilderness, the things that I had overcome when I was, 10, 11, 12, 13, 15, 17, these guys they were stuck in the hole that I used to be stuck in. And they needed the breakthrough that I had gotten. And instead of feeling shame about my past and the things that I was struggling with, I so valued that I had gone through those crazy experiences. Those weren't disqualifiers in my life. They were what actually qualified me to help. And that was such a breakthrough in my life. It's been the thing that has empowered me for so long. And I want to be able to give that away to you guys, because I see so many men that feel disqualified from the future because of what they're currently struggling in. And you don't get as excited as you should about the journey that you're on, about the cycle that you're breaking, about the addiction that you're overcoming, about the marriage that you're healing, the kids that you're growing closer to, and that you're problem solving. All the struggles that you're in today, you're going to weaponize and you're going to use for good. Abraham Lincoln is an incredible example of a lot of what I'm talking about. He used his failures, although they were in a different area. A lot of them were in business. He used his failures to propel him in life, to actually go to the next level of living. And it's so interesting how he he went through so many hard things and then came out the other side. I'm going to read off a list to you guys. You can Google these. For starters, Abraham Lincoln was born in the 1800s, I believe 1812. I can't remember the exact date. And he was born in Indiana to a really poor family, grew up in poverty, and mostly grew up mostly unschooled, self-taught, and on the pioneer. So you're talking about a kid that didn't have a lot of hope. There wasn't a ton of hope. You wouldn't think this guy someday is going to be our president, the 16th president of the United States. This guy is going to help abolish slavery. This guy's going to help us win wars and settle our economy. Negative. I would have looked at Abraham Lincoln and been like, he's not educated enough. He's not set up well. His family didn't come from, a business mindset, but he didn't let that hold him back. So let's look at Abraham Lincoln's failures. In 1832, Abraham Lincoln lost his job. He was defeated for state legislature. 1833, he failed in business. 1835, well, I'll do his successes too. 1833, he failed in business. 1833, he was also appointed postmaster of New Salem, Illinois. So that was awesome. 1834, he got elected to Illinois state legislature. 1835, his wife died. Whew. 1836, he has a nervous breakdown, but he was also reelected to Illinois state legislature and received his license to practice law in Illinois in the state courts. So he was a lawyer. 1838, Abraham Lincoln was defeated for speaker. 1838, he was nominated for Illinois House Speaker. Gosh. So he was defeated for speaker and then nominated for House Speaker by the Whig caucus, reelected to Illinois House, served as the Whig floor leader. So a political party. 1839, he was chosen presidential elector by first Whig convention. 1840, he argued his first case before Illinois Supreme Court, reelected to Illinois state legislature. 1843, he was defeated for nomination of Congress. So he's got like these highs and these lows, and these highs and these lows. 1844, he established his own law practice. 1846, he was elected to Congress. 1848, he lost a renomination. 1849, he was rejected for land officer. 1854, he was defeated for U.S. Senate. And 1856, he was defeated for nomination for vice president. 1858, he was defeated for U.S. Senate. In 1860, he was elected president. The guy's a savage. Absolute savage. Just one of those setbacks in life could bring most men to their knees, and it does. You lose your job as the defeated for state legislature. You fail in business. Your wife dies. I mean, this is only 3 years apart. 1832 to 1836. In less than 4 years, he loses a job. He fails in business. His wife dies, and he has a nervous breakdown. Guys, this is like a bad country song. You take those 4 years of his life, 3.5 years of his life. Most people would look at that and go, oh, that's a trajectory of my life. My life sucks. I'm going to quit. But Abraham Lincoln hadn't even got started. And that's my point, is it doesn't really matter, guys, where you start. It doesn't super matter where you start. It matters where you're going to end up. What does it take to get you to stop? If you're stuck in porn today, if you're stuck in alcohol addiction, if you're stuck in a marriage that you don't love, that's not the end of your story. And that's not the limiting factor on what you're going to do in your life. The truth is that that's a starting point on this incredible journey of building a life with God and you learning how to break through and get to the next level of ownership and leadership in your life. When I had my nervous breakdown, it was horrible. I just felt so sorry for myself, which is the truth. I'm laughing now. My nervous breakdown came after my divorce. I had overdone it. I had completely overdone it. I'd spent a year and a half working through the pain, got to a really good place. And then when I kind of jumped back into life after my divorce, I was writing a book on how to work through pain. I was preaching a bunch. I was doing, 20 counseling appointments a week. I was leading the school of ministry or helping to lead the school of ministry. I had 65 students that I was helping to lead every week, plus a staff. And then I was on my dad's board for Chris Vallotton Ministries. I was on More Revolution's board. So I was traveling and preaching with them. I was helping them to write a book as well. I was also helping Tracy Evans write a book. And then I had 3 kids. I was a single parent at the time. And I was working out 6 days a week, as well as I just started dating Lauren. And when I list all that stuff out, I'm like, gosh, dang, no wonder I freaking crashed. I was and trying to do all those things at the highest level. It was crazy. Eventually my body just began to break down and I lost the use of my arms. I would sleep 12 to 15 hours a day. And man, I just felt like a shell of myself. And one of the problems was I had already signed a contract for my book that I was working on. And so I'd already been paid like $7,500. So I got paid half up front and half when I finished. So I'd signed with a publisher. My dad got me the deal. And at month 4 of my nervous breakdown and of writing this book, I was on chapter 4 of my book, which is kind of funny. But my arms quit working, like my hands. I didn't have a ton of mobility in them, didn't have a ton of strength in them. And I thought I was dying. I was getting cancer tests and rheumatoid arthritis tests and MS tests and all these just crazy. I literally thought I was dying. I had anxiety all day long. And so I remember one night, it was like 11 o'clock at night. I called my dad just crying. I was just so broken. And I said, I can't do this anymore, Dad. Like I just can't do this. And he said, well, tell me where you're at and what's going on. And I just said, like, I can't even use my arms. And I feel anxiety all day long. I sleep, 12, 15 hours a day. Because when I wake up, I feel anxiety all day. I have to use 2 hands to hold a cup of water. I just felt so sorry for myself and so frustrated. And my dad said, son, you need to decide what your life's going to be. And I said, I'm dying. Like, I think I'm dying. And he said, well, you need to determine on what terms you're going to go out on. And he said, if I was you, I would finish that book. And I got super angry at him because I'm like, how in the heck can I finish my book when I can't even freaking type? This is 2009. And he said, I don't know, but you made a commitment to finish that book. And not only that, like, people need what you have. Here I am broken down and he's telling me, like, people need what you have. They need the tools that you learned. And he wasn't trying to put some false responsibility on me. He was trying to say, son, your life has purpose. Your life has meaning. You don't have to give this nervous breakdown all the power in your life. And man, I was so pissed off. Guys, you need somebody in your life that can do that, that can look at your life and go, if I was you, I wouldn't give up. So, I woke up the next morning, jumped in the shower, and I was thinking, it was like one of those play Rocky theme song and pump yourself up. That was like the mode I was in. I was in a shower and I started to think, okay, if I am dying, I want my life to matter. I want to go out with something. This isn't the end. I'm the one that gets to decide my story. And I ended up getting a dictation, like Dragon dictation, so I could talk and it would type. And that's how I finished my book. And it sucked and it was hard. But I got through it and I overcame it. And one of the most important things that happened to me that night when I was talking to my dad is my dad started telling me about all these great men who have gone before us. Great men in the Bible, great men in history, different walks of life, some that believed different things than I do. Some weren't Christians, some were Christians, didn't matter. But the thing that they had in common was all these great men, they used the hardships that they were in and they weaponized them. And they use that as momentum. They use that as a tool. They use it as the battle axe to fight with. And that got them to where they were actually going. It became their place of agitation became their greatest place of breakthrough. And that night, that's where he told me about George Washington, and he told me about Thomas Edison, and he told me about Abraham Lincoln, and he told me about just all these incredible men. Whether you like their politics or not, it's irrelevant to me. But these men who had just overcame so much. And I started to look at my life and I go, you know what? My life's not much different than theirs. They have obstacles. They have challenges. I'm sure they felt sorry for themselves. I'm sure they wanted to quit. I'm sure they wanted to give up, but they got to make a choice. Viktor Frankl's another one of those. Enslaved in prison camps. His family burned in the oven. The Nazis, the Germans enslaved him and his family. And it was said of Viktor Frankl that he was more free than the guards that held him in prison. Well, what did Viktor realize? He realized the only one that can keep me locked up in a real prison is myself. Whew. That's powerful. Revelations 12:11 says this, and they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb, by the word of their testimony, and they loved their lives not unto death. What's he saying? He's saying they overcame the enemy, the evil one. One, by the blood of the Lamb, which is great. We all have that. By the word of their testimony. See, your testimony, what you've been through, is fuel, is a prophecy, is a prophetic declaration to anyone who's willing to grab onto that prophecy and make it real for their life. When I say, oh, I've overcome addiction to porn, when I've overcome addiction to masturbation, I've overcome divorce, I've overcome failure. Anybody who wants to say, I can do that too, who wants to say, let that be done to me, can grab onto that and take that, my testimony, and use it as a weapon to fight in your life. You get to. And the coolest thing is that the story that you're in right now, you're going to pay it forward. It's not fixed. You're not stuck forever. And you're going to get to a place where the very thing that you hate today, you're going to love that you went through it. You're going to love that you walked all the way through this and to the end. I love this. Paul tells Timothy, he says, this command I entrust to you, Timothy, my son, in accordance with the prophecies previously made concerning you, that by them you would fight the good fight. What's he doing? Paul's telling Timothy, listen, I know you're feeling down. I know you're feeling discouraged. What I want you to do is take those prophecies, take those words that have already been declared over your life and use those as a weapon. I literally can remember when my dad taught me this scripture, when he told me this, because I used to be so afraid that I was dying. Again, you see it in my history and my past, not just with my nervous breakdown, but when I was a kid, I didn't know that I struggled. Wasn't so aware how much that affected me. But one of the things that my dad taught me is the prophetic words that you've been given and also what God says about you. Use those as a weapon. Why is this so massive? Guys, this is so massive because it takes all the shame out of the dumb stuff that you did in your past. It takes all the shame out of the mistakes that you've made with your wife. It takes all the shame out of the mistakes that you made with your kids, because you realize that God is the great exchanger. He exchanges your dumb, stupid mistakes for breakthrough, for momentum, and he'll turn them around for good if you'll let him. And when we hide, when we keep our secrets, when we live in shame, we disable or disempower God from actually turning that test into a testimony, from taking us out of a dark place and into a light place, because whatever you hide still defines you. That's what shame does. That's what sin does, is sin becomes this definer. It says, no, this is who you are. And you know that this is who you are because you won't share it. You don't want to tell anybody. If you told somebody else this, they would think this of you. Guys, that's the whole prison. As soon as you are no longer afraid, not just of what other people think, but as soon as you realize it's a facade, it's mirrors, it's smoke in mirrors, it's not real. The people that you're afraid are going to make fun of you are the very people that need your breakthrough. And furthermore, if people are going to make fun of you, if people are going to persecute you, it's only because they themselves are stuck in it. We're building an army. We're building an army of men who've overcome, of men who are no longer afraid of their mistakes. They're no longer bound and held down by shame and fear. They no longer are their worst day. They're not their worst enemy. They're not the worst mistake that they've made. It's an army of overcomers. And I want you to join that army. I want you to be willing to see the challenge that you're in today as a breakthrough for somebody else, and to begin to take the things that you've already overcome. You may be stuck in something else. You may go, man, I overcame drugs, but I'm stuck in smoking. That's okay. Let's weaponize the part of your story that where there's victory. Let's weaponize where there's victory. Let's start with that. Find somebody, men, listen, find somebody who needs your breakthrough and give it away this week. And watch how powerful, watch how incredibly powerful weaponizing your story is. Men, thanks so much for listening this week. God bless.